How would you like to know some of the best and worst things about a city you're moving to before you get here? Well, stay tuned because that's exactly what we're going to cover in today's video, the 5 pros and cons of Nashville, Tennessee. What's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's Quentin and today we're going to cover the 5 pros and cons of Nashville living. There may also be a bonus pro-con at the end too, so be sure you stick around. Let's start the video off with one of the first things that people tend to notice when they're in the South. That's Southern hospitality. Everyone is going to wave at everyone and everyone talks to everybody. It's not uncommon to be driving down the road and see people either walking their dog or also driving too and just wave at you. I remember my grandfather coming down from Pennsylvania. He was like, "Hey Q, why is everyone waving at us? Is there something wrong?" And I just had to tell him, no, that's just how we are down here. Everyone waves. So if you're not from here, don't be taken back by people waving and smiling at you. Just wave and smile back. Now, something that'll probably take that smile away is going to be our first con of living in Nashville: traffic. If you're coming from a large city like Atlanta, New York, or LA, then you're probably going to think that traffic isn't that bad. But if you come from a smaller or more rural area, traffic is going to drive you insane. There's no shortage of bad drivers in construction going in and around Nashville currently. The average commute time that you're looking at is going to be roughly 25 minutes one way, and that's due partly to about 80% of the population driving to work. Majority of the people have to drive to work because Nashville doesn't have a mass public transportation system like the subway in New York City. And while there are walkable areas of Nashville, you genuinely need a vehicle to get from one place to another. If you don't have a vehicle, we also have Uber and Lyft as well. Let's highlight Pro 2, sports. If you are a sports fan, you will absolutely love Nashville. From the Tennessee Titans, to the Preds, to the Nashville Sounds, to Major League Soccer. There's no shortage of sports anywhere you go. One of the best things to do on game day is to find a local bar and watch with other fans. Remember when I talked about Southern hospitality being Pro 1? Well, when it comes to sports, that goes out the window. And it's game on. The only thing they care about is their team winning. Following Pro 2 comes Con 2, and that's religion. Now you may ask, Quentin, why is religion on the con side when everyone loves religion? Well, that's exactly why it's there. Tennessee is located in the southeastern part of the country in what is considered the Bible Belt. Here you will find people faithfully going to church every Sunday, and sometimes multiple days throughout the week as well. The predominant religion in Nashville is going to be Christianity. And if you're not a religious person or you don't practice Christianity, the overwhelmingness might seem a bit uncomfortable, but it shouldn't make you feel unwelcomed. Just because Christianity is the largest religion practiced here doesn't mean it's the only one. If you guys love my content, be sure to give me a thumbs up and subscribe so that you don't miss videos that I make just for you. As we move into Pro 3, food. As previously covered in my video, 5 things that you need to know about Nashville, Tennessee, you can see that food plays a really large role in life in Nashville. It's a smorgasbord of every type of food you could possibly imagine. From Spanish, Portuguese cuisine in East Nashville, to Italian with some vegan options in the nation, to downtown for some of the best bar foods you'll ever eat, to 12 South with Middle Eastern and pizza, to the Gulch, which includes burgers, Tex-Mex, steakhouse, and ramen. As you can see, Nashville is a pretty diverse city with a little taste of something for everyone. What's not for everyone is Con 3, the weather. In Nashville, we have extremely hot, humid summers. I remember one year it being so humid that you would come inside and the furniture would be wet. Talk about an uncomfortable feeling. In addition to having some extremely hot, humid summers, the spring comes with just as intense allergies. In the South, we have what's called yellow snow. And no, I know what you're thinking, not that snow. The snow I'm referring to in this case is pollen. It's absolutely everywhere during the springtime. If you have allergies and you're coming around this time, I highly recommend bringing medication. You will need it. On a lighter note, Pro 4 is healthcare. Healthcare is Tennessee's #1 industry, and with that being said, it's also Nashville's. If you're a nurse looking to move to Nashville, your job opportunities are going to be endless, as everybody is trying to hire right now. Just like food in Nashville, jobs are just as diverse as well. So don't be discouraged if nursing is your thing. There's bound to be a job opening somewhere in your line of work. Moving on to Con 4, we have tourists. While you may think, oh, tourists aren't that bad, well, you're probably looking at it from a tourist perspective. But once you become a resident, that could possibly change. While tourism is an important part of Nashville's economy, you'll be happy to know that it's fairly isolated to one location, mainly downtown Nashville. So if you can get a couple blocks away from there, or even a couple miles away, it'll be like night and day difference. Moving into our last pro, we have the music scene or nightlife. When the sun goes down, the bars fill up. So if you're looking for fun, you can't really beat Broadway. Every single day of the week, you're bound to find party buses full of people just out and about having a great time. You'll hear lots of great musicians in many different venues, so if that's something you love, I guarantee you won't visit just once. Last but not least, we have Con 5, a growing population. If you decided that you wanted to move somewhere south and you thought, Nashville sounds like a great idea, well, so did tens of thousands of others. There's nothing wrong with bringing in an influx of people to the city, but just remember that with more people coming in, these pros and cons are going to adjust accordingly. So only time will tell if these get better or worse. Well, there you have it, guys. The 5 pros and cons. Did you think I forgot about the bonus? Well, don't worry. Here's the last one. That's a pro and a con at the same time, and that's housing. If you're coming from places like California and New York, you're gonna think that housing is extremely cheap. It's gonna blow your mind. And while the cost of living specifically for Nashville is higher than the US average, you'll still notice that it's significantly lower than places like New York or LA, which is a fantastic pro. The con side, you ask? Well, with it being relatively cheaper than some of these larger areas, the influx of people from Con 5 is going to make securing housing a little more difficult, and it's also going to increase the cost of living even more. Hopefully these pros and cons gave you a little insight to Tennessee living. So if you're thinking about making a move, feel free to reach out. Until then, see ya.